we, I seem to recall winning an award or being part of the group that won an award for carbon emission, or how was it? Because we could get the credits from 7 Mile Pit. We were able to bring our carbon quotient or whatever it's called down to 0. Now that's more of a question than it is anything else. And doesn't that count in terms of part of the climate action plan? So
Are you asking me?
well, whoever can answer the question, I mean, it just in the form it said we don't have and climate action plan, which I don't think we do, but we do partake in that carbon emissions count and
Not anymore.
Not anymore. We haven't been part of that, or we stopped doing that a long time ago.
no, this wasn't that long ago that we
But
received
yes,
those credits from the
a
7.
few years ago.
Okay, we don't have a carbon plan.
Just to put a little context, if I could, Mayor.
Yes,
So
please.
we switched away from the Climate Action Revenue Incentive Program, CAREP, it was affectionately referred to as, and that's what you're referring to is the
Thank you.
carbon offsets. And so we used to report on our carbon credits. In 2020, they made a push to get rid of that requirement for reporting with respect to that. And so we're actually given grant funding. So last year we received $71,493, I believe it was, towards climate action incentives without having to do the report. However, without having to do the report means we have to fill out this survey and publicly report on the survey in order to get our next round of funding going forward. So that's where that's.
So administratively, it's easier, but we get more money.
We get more money and administratively, it's not easier, but a little bit.
Yeah, cost benefit is it
It's
balanced?
It's balanced.
Okay.
Okay. So under correspondence from Alexander Higgins, Director, and Elizabeth Amanhume, Executive Director, Port Hardy Chamber of Commerce, reuse of Carrot Park for Business Festival of Lights at Christmas time. So we have a letter, Councillor Tipper.
I'd like to make that motion that that this goes forward.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Smith. Any discussion? Councillor Dorwood?
I just think this is great to see. I was just wondering if staff have any concerns based on what's been described there.
Okay.
CAO?
At this point in time, we don't. We work closely with the chamber as we ramp up to the event and make sure that everything is covered. There is going to be a cost, obviously, so we can come up with a bit of a budget, but we do have a community events budget that we can take that from.
Excellent. It's great. I'm glad to see they're doing something there.
It's awesome.
It's good.
Yes.
And something around Christmas our towns has. We had stuff before, so.
Yes, I think we're all in agreement. If, Alexander, if you're there, if you can't see, we're all nodding our heads. This is excellent. So thank you very much for proposing that and getting the chamber on board with it. Does anyone want, or is there any other comments or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried unanimously. We have a letter from Natasha Griffiths, publisher, North Island Gazette, about Black Press Media request for support. Any comments, questions? Councillor Dorwood?
I feel the pain for the media with what's going on. They're being bullied by these big companies. However, I think we already struggle with getting communications out. I don't know that we pay for much by the way of social media. Most of our stuff isn't paid stuff anyway, but I mean, I do support them in principle, but I wouldn't want to see us stop doing advertising on those social media channels because we still struggle to get our message out, even though we use multiple media sources. So.
Including Black Rock.
Yes, including Black Press, of course, yeah, traditional stuff. And it looked like what I saw in the news today also, this is going to the Competition Bureau
Yeah,
So there is action happening at higher levels of government.
So in which case, with this, letter of support, we will receive and file, Deputy CAO Blackwell.
One option could be that you table this matter pending the outcome of,
Mhm.
and if it looks like this can be revisited, it could be brought forward at a later date. We will get direction on this.
So
Moved by Councillor Robertson, seconded by Councillor Tidbury.
now, I just want to make a correction. It's postponed, not tabled.
Is it postponed, not tabled?
The matter's tabled, but so postpone,
At another date.
Okay,
That's all.
so do I have a seconder? Councillor Dugas. Comment?
As I said, I don't believe we spend very much on the social media channels owned by Meta and Google.
Mhm.
So I don't see the point in leaving this sitting, laying around, saying that we might do something in the future. I don't think I would change my mind in the future.
CEO Nelson Smith?
Economic clout.
Yeah.
As they mentioned here, that's what they want is our clout.
Yeah. Councillor Roberts?
I would never speak, actually in support of, what, the Meta and, all these social media companies are doing right now. But I also have heard an argument out there, that what they do by rebroadcasting people's news, they don't have ownership of, which is true, is more beneficial to them. Now, this is their argument, than it is detrimental. And that media outlets do actually receive a boost from the rebroadcasting their news feeds. I just am not sure. I've heard fairly capable people on both sides of it. So I'm okay with referring it to tabling it for a while, to hear what the Competition Bureau does say on it. Because they are allegedly an independent organization. And I think what they will end up saying will have some bearing on, I mean, Janet's right, we're not gonna make any difference one way or the other, what we do, but I would like to hear what.
Councillor Dorwin?
Just to clarify we ask that the District of Port Hardy use its economic clout and join its provincial and Canadian counterparts government around the world that are taking a stand at this crucial time in history to proclaim that the power to decide how what information is shared isn't the purview of an elite group of foreign-based players, but should be in the hands of democratic governments and people who act them. So that's the ask that they're asking. So just to be clear, they're asking us to use our economic clout of $150 every 3 years. And that's why I won't be voting in favor of looking at this in the future, that the same ask in the future. Is that different ask me? Yeah, just, it's minor, but yeah, it makes sense to me.
Okay, any other comments? All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Two opposed? Okay. Carried. Okay, the old Claire and so. Janet Dorwood, organizer, request for use of Carrot Park on September 17th for Terry Fox Run 2023 Port Hardy. Councillor Smith,
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that motion.
any comments or concerns?
No,
I'll just say one or two. One, that it's a fantastic event that's very well run. The second comment is that she reached out to the farmers market because the park is booked on that same day to
Mhm.
make sure that it wouldn't be an issue or ask permission from the farmers market beforehand if we could share the market.
Mhm.
And the planning group wholeheartedly said, yes, it would be fine. They would just need to ensure that if the music is playing, that the music for the market just moves over to where the Chamber of Commerce is, so that there's room for the Terry Fox area. So it's just, it's in my mind, pretty minor. And so I just thought it will be a happening place on the 17th. All right, all in favor? Carried, thank you.
Oh, was it good?
It's a good thing you got me back now.
Committee reports, minutes of the Port Hardy Bear Smart Committee meeting held May 17th, 2023 for information. Councilor Smith, anything you need brought up?
Just that we have a new wildlife coordinator. That's pretty exciting. Yeah. Hopefully we'll start to see some good work come from that.
Awesome, thank you. Minutes of the Port Hardy Bear Smart Committee meeting held July 13th for information. Draft meetings of the emergency planning meeting held July 31st, 2023 for information. Any comments, questions? I did notice that you have to, lots of people away because we know there's so
Yeah,
much
it's-
happening.
Not, summertime. period.
Yeah.
It's-
It's,
I just want to say I was glad that alternate routes are being looked at. Let's see, the Highway 4 incident is bringing light to that, but how important it is to have more than one, right?
yes, and I know, CEO Nelson Smith and I've talked numerous times, especially was it last year when the tree came down and trapped, someone we know between the two trees on Stories Beach Road, and so people couldn't get out and, or Bing Road, I guess it was. And, yes, so there needs to be an alternate way. Staff reports, Finance Department, July 23, check and EFT listing report for information. Any questions, comments? The Director of Finance, Nora May Isaac, our 2023 quarter two update to council for information. Nora May?
Thank you. Hopefully you can hear me way back here. I think first I'll go over, excuse me, the formats that I've got with the 3 different paperwork, just to clarify it for everybody. The first page is the analysis or a Word document that you have. Okay. And I'll refer to that as the analysis document each time. And then, so then on the second page, which is a more detailed report, down the right-hand side are little brackets. And those brackets are to help you know what groups together for the third page, which is a snapshot and a little bit more consolidated for the graph. So it wouldn't get too big. Then if we're back on the detailed one, I've added some percentages this time. As we're getting farther in, we can have a percentage, and then I've made some notes that, so as we go down, anything that's gonna be under budget by 15% or greater can be on your analysis report, because then I can drill into that account a little bit farther and see what's making up that difference and give you some notes on it. And then anything that's over budget will have something on the analysis report. And then, of course, if there's any kind of an anomaly, I'll bring that forward, something totally out of the ordinary or something. The other thing is where you see that there's no percentages at all, those are not going to be recorded on the analysis report, because the budget is so low that it would make it 56%. It would always be coming on to the report. So if there's questions about it or something comes up, I will certainly report on them. The other part of those smaller budget items are, some of them are out of your control. Cemetery for one, you know, you put together a budget that you can, but you don't really have full control over how that budget turns out. So that's why those notes on the bottom. Same as the curling rink, it's a small budget. Then we can go to analysis.
The work document, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So then this time if you remember in Q1, we had the insurance was throwing out our budget because we're dividing it by 4. So for presentation purposes, I've allocated that budget into the Q1. So from now on forward, we won't see that. We'll be able to just look at what our expenses are and what's making up the differences between budget to actual. We have the fire department on again. The initial budget's under 36% or $59,000. But that needs to be adjusted down to 18% because we're still overstated on our, or understated on our expenses. Understated on our expenses because there's $30,000 now of paid on call that needs to come forward and come into there. So I've made that calculation just so we can see what it was. Otherwise, their differences were mostly fleet, I believe. So it's just a timing issue on things not being taken care, not being repair and maintenance, I should say. Common services, when we looked at the percentage, common services was high on but it's just over the mark, so 13%. That's really just around timing as well as R&M. Economic and development, same thing, there just hasn't been anything going on. It's at 22% difference, but there's no planning or zoning, and the rest of it is the hotel tax. It's just kind of timing for that coming in. It's always, we just got the May one here. We got the deposit for the May one, and it was double what the normal one was, so now we're just waiting for the report to come through. So that's kind of how many months it is a difference. Recreation, I've taken the cost allocations for presentation purposes out of the budget so that we can just see what our expenses are and where we're sitting. I'm working with recreation to try and see if we can minimize some of the expenses. The biggest expense for them is in their program contractors for their different programs, and going into Q3 and 4. 3, we're already pushing our budget pretty up over even more than what it is right now, and it's still in the same area. So with the pool coming on, we're looking at different ways to minimize that so we can get this budget more underlined. And Heather and I've been helping, or not helping, but we've been working with Tanya on trying to find solutions for some of that. Parks, this is just an update because last time we were the difference with the litter baskets and it was like 44%. That's come down, and so this time now there's a difference of 19. So we're definitely seeing that number coming down. And I think that's mostly to do with the improvements that were made, so if people couldn't put in the larger bags and stuff. And so we don't have the labor for sure. That's come down. I already mentioned that last time. I think that once we get to Q3, and then of course the winter months, you would expect that some of that garbage is gonna go down even more just with not as many people out and about maybe. That's my guess. Now the pool also, I've, for presentation purposes, moved the budget so that we didn't actually budget for a whole year for the pool. So having that budget divided by 4 would do the same thing. It throws it off by too much. It looks like this huge under budget. So there's a minimal amount that was budgeted for a few small things at the beginning of the year. Now come Q3, we'll see the budget falling into place with the pool and hopefully getting that pool going full time. Water, that's another one the same, take the cost allocations out so we can look at their expenses. And I won't need to mention these now in Q3 because those will be things that are always going to happen. And we'll be doing our cost allocations pretty soon. And water was actually didn't really need to be mentioned. It's doing just fine in the budget to where it is a low percentage. Most of that's got to do with the chemicals. And I understand that when it's dry and the river is low and we don't use as much chemicals because the way the water flow isn't as active. Moving around as much, so we don't get as much particles and stuff, and Heather could explain that way better than I just did, but I got some lessons from her and Joe on why we were using less chemicals. And then sewer is really timing. It's just a good thing that you're not spending money on, you know, extra costs. And can't really say too much more about that, took the cost allocations out of that. Put a small blurb on the bottom, just that we're, you know, it's important to pay attention to our budgets and work together with everybody. By being able to have them looked at quarterly, you can catch things before they get out of control and there's not too much that you can do to help minimize it going forward. So I've made the same kind of reports for the different department heads. I've made one for harbor, one for recreation, and fire department and water. I haven't got the sewer done yet, but I've got a sample here of the fire, because if you look at your line and your detail, your fire protection is like one line, $315,000. Then if we look at the fire department's sheet.
Which I'm pulling up, I'm sorry, I lost it.
That's okay. I'll take a breath.
I'll take a little breath, sorry. I had it up on the screen and now it's gone.
I've had some good comments. I was actually quite happy with the comments I got back from people after the last quarterly report, and we had a staff meeting and Cam had taken his down to, you know, and shared it with Public Works, which made me really happy. And Courtney came up and was really pleased to hear about, you know, and then when I started putting these reports together, yeah, this is the fire department, so you can see that's got quite a few separate lines and it shows us then, so that's what I'm looking for when I drill into it to see for council, what's bringing our budget up or down. And if we go down just a bit farther, you can see, this is the 315,000 is the budget for the year. And on our report, it's 315,490, and then there's a tiny bit of something went in there since I made this report for Q2 for the department, but they're pleased with it as well. They said that it's a nice little quick snapshot for them, everybody that I have talked to, because they don't need to look at the details in the general ledger or try to find it throughout something else, and they can come and ask questions or drill into it themselves and find out what's going on. So I think it's gonna work really good. We'll get feedback from everybody to what we can improve upon, what more you'd like to see, what more you'd like to hear.
Awesome.
So any questions, comments?
Councillor Robertson.
Thank you. That was the parts I understood very, very good. But in the chart, it has. Okay, sorry. I was thinking there was is there a possibility of comparing it to Q1? There's the budget year to date and the actual year to date.
So that would go like from January 1st to June 30th, so
Yeah.
where you're at that point in time. We could break them apart.
Is there any value in that, or? Okay.
Probably not, because you're going along, seeing your expenses as they come in, you're hoping that you're gonna just see your ground change.
Yeah.
You're gonna see differences, like this time we added the percentages. Then Q3, you're gonna start wanting to look and see, is there something we need to start forecasting for Q4? And so that's where I think you wanna see kind of maybe a Q3, a forecast to where you might get to in Q4, where you'd like to get to, you know, but I don't think having each quarter, it just gets a bit busy and I don't, but they're not hard to do if somebody wanted to see. You can kind of refer back to the first one as well. Because the other thing is we really try to close the GL down. I really like to, once you've got your month end closed off within departments, is to just go and close it so nobody can book something backwards. So that's a habit that, you know, you just gotta get your team and everybody looking that way and everybody getting there talking to each other, because you could give you the Q1 and then it could change on some things because we've had to backdate and book something into Q1. But if you're looking at the whole thing from Q1 to, you know, January to June 30th, you're encompassing all of that.
No, that's good.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. That was that's good information, and it's really nice to be able to follow it along and figure out how things are going, and not only for us, but with the directors too.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Heather Nelson Smith, CAO, our CAO report, January to June 2023 for information. CAO Nelson Smith.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I do have one question. What do you want me to talk about? It's a fairly,
Lengthy thing.
lengthy, and so my apologies for making it, probably more difficult to read, but hopefully a little bit more fun with some highlights, things that have happened in the first month. Maybe I just start with the summary report.
Sure.
Okay, so just in terms of advancements and initiatives that we've done, we have been advancing the situation table going forward. That is set to, we've got some mentors that have been picked out, and then September we'll be looking at a more fulsome training program that'll be coming there, and a multi-agency response. Since we've had our first initial meeting with the situation table, we've had more and more people coming forward interested in participating. So that's been really great in terms of trying to build up that repertoire. And obviously the word is getting out. We're doing something with us. And then we've got the Port Hardy Pool Project, which is underway, and I'll give you a bit of a verbal update, which wasn't part of the first half, next on the agenda. We've got the Safer Place to Be pilot project that started up again. And so far Island Health is obviously still taking the lead on that. And we have been having numerous meetings on housing supports and land availability, including I did a presentation at the EPCM Housing Summit in Vancouver to discuss challenges and opportunities facing rural and remote communities, to which I was picked up to be on a task force for middle income earners set by Premier Eby's office. It was a really interesting opportunity for me to kind of share some ideas that the council has been talking about at this table. But unfortunately, they're looking at middle income earners as being $130,000 to $180,000 range. So not quite fitting within the demographic of Port Hardy. However, being part of that table has been really great to get the word out on what's going on in Port Hardy. Housing challenges obviously are still an issue, and we've been meeting with BC Housing. We've also had many agencies coming forward with respect to looking for vacant land in order to build supportive and accessible housing, as well as seniors housing, and not for market housing. So just to be clear. And of course, we have provided the province with the listing of all of the vacant property zoning and demographics available for use, should they wish to do any kind of projects within the district of Port Hardy. We've got the active transportation. We had the sidewalk completed. We've got our economic development advisors back on board. And so the creation station is going again. We've got some supports going to the farmers market. And then what we were referring to before as the business audit has now changed names and is now called the Rural Economic Development and Innovation, is now called the Digital Business Enhancement Program. REDIP is the Rural Economic Development and Innovation Program. So that's underway. They just started kicking that off. We've already got some businesses that have signed up for that. So that's a really great initiative. We've got the Healthy Communities Initiative, which is also part of the REDIP funding. And I can now officially say that we've received an additional $15,000 from Plan H in order to support that. And what this Healthy Communities Initiative is going to do is it's going to create an inventory of the items that are within the poverty action planning program, as well as map out what the gaps are that we currently have within Port Hardy, so our successes and our gaps, and try and map all of that together. The Thrive project, which is funded through the Islands Coast Economic Trust, is well underway. So we've got the carving that went up in June, and then we've got the kiosk, which you'll start seeing taking shape now that it has arrived. And that will be a full service digital kiosk. You'll be able to go up and check out the district website and the information center from the visitor center as well, right directly on demand. But we're also gonna be doing some great enhancements that are gonna also accompany that going forward. And then we've got community engagement participation. So I just wanted to also point out too that at the end of this report, you'll also see that there's a communications and engagement section from our social media sites, just to kind of give you a snapshot as to what our target audience is, what's kind of catching people's eye. Right now, I can tell you that the number one thing that will be going forward in the next report will be the dog park naming, because that is like blowing up to the point where I believe that our confidential secretary here had to shut her notifications off on her phone. So we appreciate everybody participating in that. That's been great. So just some upcoming initiatives. Obviously, we have a ton of projects underway. We started the review of the operational services department. We're just finalizing our taxation and public spending survey that will be going out this fall to gain feedback on where to put our resources, and that'll include transportation, parks and recreation, parks, and then our fire department services, and because those are our biggest budgets within the district of Port Hardy. And we are looking forward to a volunteer appreciation event to strengthen our community bonds. And then we're also looking to celebrate those invaluable contributions through an award ceremony as well. And that will be part of a pancake breakfast that will be done by staff, and hopefully council will be there to help out as well. Financial planning is top priority. So we've got our capital information is all coming forward to the Director of Financial Services, and directors are actively working on comprehensive budget planning going forward. So we're looking at doing 4-year comprehensive planning in order to support the strategic plan, and also with a focus on ensuring work-life balance so that we're not overworking the staff that we currently have in order to try to attain things. We love doing great things, don't get me wrong, but we're also realizing that we have limitations in maintaining those for a long time. So we have to really, kind of clamp down a little bit on ourselves and say, okay, what's realistic and what isn't, and try to make sure that we're keeping that balance. And then just in terms of the upcoming initiatives, showcase council's dedication to a proactive community engagement, financial responsibility, and long-term planning, and promoting a strong sense of unity and cultural understanding. This council aims to create more inclusive, responsive, and prosperous Port Hardy for all of its residents, and by prioritizing these initiatives. And that's what we as directors and staff and volunteers of the district are trying to uphold. So that is the summary.
Well, thank you. Great summary, great report. And very much appreciated. So for any details, everybody can read the more detailed information that's in the report. Wayne, sorry.
I was going to say thank you. We've been busy.
Yes.
We mostly being all of you. Thank you.
Oh, Heather Nelson-Smith, CAO, Strategic Plan at a Glance.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Me again, and it's crooked on my screen, so I can't really look at it. But what this is your strategic plan at a glance. And so we know that we have a 5-page document of the strategic plan. You've seen it in the CAO update with all of its initiatives going forward. And what I've done is kind of created a snapshot, something that's small enough that we can put it on one big sheet of paper in front of everybody, so that we're always redirecting our attention to it and making sure that we are focusing on that. But the other thing I included was a vision statement, and the vision statement was taken by looking at all of the collaborative vision statements that were actually in the official community plan. And so I forwarded it out to council so that council could see that snapshot of taking all of those initiatives that came from the community that said, this is what we think about Port Hardy, and melded it all into one in order to create this vision. And I did distribute it in advance of this meeting and did get some feedback, and I have made a couple of changes to it. And so all I'm asking for is for council to review it and endorse it so that we can have this as our living, breathing placement on our desk.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, suggestions, changes?
Fantastic. I'll make a motion to accept the strategic plan. Thank you so much for all that hard work.
Second.
Yes, thank you very much for all that hard work.
It's award winning.
It is.
Next level.
All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Oh, Heather Nelson Smith, CAO, the Accessibility Act, BC Regulation and Local Government Requirements.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is a requirement that's come down from the province, and I realize that the deadline for it is September the 1st. And not a lot of us communities have taken many steps towards completing, but we have been told that as long as we have a plan to plan, we will be in compliance with the regulation at this point. So I have reached out to the other CAOs of the communities and said, hey, we're all gonna be looking for the same volunteers for this group. And we have life-size communities and we have an access pool issue. And so why don't we pool our resources together and create an accessibility alliance together? And I got a bit of uptake on that. And I believe that if council endorses this, then if I go forward with a formal ask to the councils that we should be able to get compliance and buy-in in order to do that. I have put in a budget for the district because in order for us to do this, there's time that has to go into it. So we do have some contracted services within our administration budget that we can use to get somebody on board in order to help us with this. I'm not asking that the towns pitch in except for people. If they want to pitch in some finances in order to support that, then that's fine, but I'm not asking for it in order to support the district's point of view. But we are asking for them to contribute to staff time. And so with council's endorsement, if you were so inclined to provide that, then we would send out letters tomorrow to the communities and ask for their support to go forward. And then create a roadmap that will then dictate how we're going to go forward.
So I'll make the motion as outlined.
Seconded by Councillor Texmo. I just want to make one comment, and I think this is very appropriate that this is happening now because our CAO and myself have been getting a few emails from different people that require accessibility help. And so I think this would be very a good step forward. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. And Heather Nelson Smith, CAO, pool update.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So I was hoping to have something a little bit more concrete for today, but I haven't received it. But what I did want to give council is a bit of an update on where we're sitting at this point in time. So we had a meeting last week and we have two contractors that are still completing the work in the pool. We have the mechanical, HVAC, electrical contractors that are plugging away and having a great time and everything's going really well. And they're really committed to their September 15th deadline. And one of the hiccups that we've run into is that the mechanical contractor needs a little bit more time in order to paint, the HVAC contractor needs more duct work that has to go around the pool, which has actually put our pool liner return back 1 week. They should have been back today, and now they're being pushed back to next week. And so what we've asked them to do is come back with a formal timeline as to when we're going to be completed. Because what IPC, which is the pool liner contractor, needs 2 more visits in order to complete the pool. And that includes the membrane being put in at the final point. And they have 2 different crews that are coming. And because of the delay on their work starting and then having to stop in order to adjust with the mechanical and electrical going, they were working on other work. So we're trying to make sure that we can figure out how to get us streamlined. The other consideration as well is the HVAC. So the air handling unit, which is supposed to go in, which we all know is not going to be here until the end of October, which means it won't be installed until sometime in November. We did get pricing on a temporary air handling unit. It's about $40,000. So it's about $15,000 a month to rent the air handling unit. And then the remainder would be the cost to do the conversion in order to allow the air handling unit to be installed. And this is where we need to know exactly what these timelines are, because what I don't want to happen is us to say, go ahead and do the temporary air handling unit, and then we have an additional 2 to 3 weeks before the pool liner is complete and water's in the pool. And then we've only got that air handling unit for a couple of weeks. So we want to make sure that there's a good cost benefit analysis for us to do that. So we'll be coming back to council for ratification on that once we get that timeline firmed up. But what I did want to say is that we're really excited. You have no idea. And looking at also our permitting, I also spoke to our environmental health officer who is in charge of permitting to get the pool online. And of course, he's aware of all of our timelines. He is leaving to go to another community at the end of September. So we're hoping to have all of this done so that Eric can be the one to sign off on our pool permit prior to his departure.
He's leaving.
Yes, he is.
Would Brian Tech, doesn't it?
He does. He is the environmental health officer, and so he'll be going to Paris.
Paris?
Paris.
Paris.
Back home.
Back home, that's right.
So we've been constant communication with him. Stantec is already planning their arrival to come and do their finalization and permitting as well, because they have to sign off on all of the schedules so that Nigel can be satisfied that everything has been completed on our end. And like I said, once I have that firm date in hand, then I'll be coming back with more information. Does anyone have any questions?
Lots of juggling balls.
Yes. Hopefully it'll juggle properly. Okay, thank you. All right. Bylaw number 1163-2023, a bylaw to amend the official community plan, bylaw number 15-2011 for second and third readings. Moved by Councillor Dorward, seconded by Councillor Texwell. Any comments? Councillor Tiberi?
I'm just concerned that of a multi-level complex. Because if we go through with this, will I see a multi-level complex?
Deputy CEO Blackwell.
Thank you through you to Councillor Tidbury. Perhaps we can move that discussion to the rezoning.
Okay, no, that, I understand. Okay, that's better. Okay, long as I've got the zoning, that I can deal with that. All right, so I'm happy with this one then.
Okay.
Residential.
Any other comments, questions?
Did somebody second it?
I'll
Yes.
second that.
No,
I
Councillor
second
Texwell did. Give it
Yeah.
a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. Bylaw number 1164-2023, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1010-2013 for second and third readings. At this point, it's moved by,
I'll move for discussion.
moved for discussion, seconded by Councillor Smith. Now discussion. I'm wondering if Deputy CAO Blackwell would like to make any comments.
Thank you. So don't put that drawing. No, I'm just kidding. So, this is common in every community I've worked in as a consultant. No matter what you bring forward as a zoning amendment, the neighbors don't like it. The fact of the matter is, we're not talking about any specific building at this point. We're talking about a piece of flat land, undeveloped land. And we're assessing whether or not the use designation and the parameters associated with that pursuant to the zoning are appropriate for that site. So the answer to that is sort of laid out in that staff report, and there are several tests that are typically applied to assessing that sort of condition. So if you look at, for instance, what the zoning is adjacent at 7300 Columbia Court, that's actually multifamily residential zone. Okay, so they can build right now to 11 meters. What's being proposed is 12 meters. There's only a 1 meter offset difference. What is the current zoning for that piece now is R2, which is substantially lower, 7.5 meter maximum. So that's basically single family residential. That's a 2-story home. So if that was to be built out, that lot with a bunch of 2-story homes right up against that property line, you can come within 3.5 meters of that property line. Those concerns that I heard from the residents would apply regardless. All of those houses from the second story down into the rear yards of the associated property next door. So the fact of the matter is, the question of massing and how a building may or may not affect the adjacent land uses is not a matter that should be discussed at rezoning. It's about whether the land use is suitable. In this case, 7300 is multifamily residential. The application is to rezone this from duplex residential to multifamily residential. The zoning will be effectively the same as Columbia Court. It's up to council in the future, should an application come forward, to determine whether any specific development proposal is suitable for that site. And at that point in time, council can debate things like shading, the impacts of massing, setbacks from the property line, how to and where to organize the parking. Should there be trees in the parking lot? Should parking be broken up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Should there be rain gardens used? All of that type of stuff gets debated by council at the development permit stage. Based on the comments from the residents, I thought I would quickly do a quick mock-up here. So what you're seeing here is just some quick and dirty rudimentary placement of a building that is eyeballed. So maybe I'll use my manual pointer to show you what I'm talking about. So the major concern would be a building that had an orientation with units looking this way, right? No one cares if they're looking this way or looking this way. They care about units looking this way. So let's say some sort of iteration of building in this location would be the concern of the residents. Well, so I looked at this as a 20-meter road right away. I'm assuming that's 20 meters. And I did a calculation. So in architecture and urban design, when you assess sun angle, what you do is you look at the sun angle.
Shading areas, right?
Yeah, at the winter solstice, okay, which is December 21st. You probably don't want to know the mathematics. I can tell it to you. It's actually pretty interesting. It comes up with so based on the zoning that says for what is it, our RM2?
Yeah.
12 meters is the maximum height permissible. So based on these calculations of 39 degrees, yada, 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 it requires a 14-meter setback from the property line, which is roughly this distance. And what that means is the sunlight would hit property line below the fence, right where the fence hits the ground, so long as the building was pushed back 14 meters, which is not very far. But the other thing is this is south. Okay, so the sun moves like this. So most of the day, this building will have no impact on shading. So this is a development permit discussion. Where the massing of a building, whether it's like this, whether a building is stepped back from the property line, so 1 story, 2 stories, 3 stories, it steps back. There's 1,000,001 different iterations of how that site could be developed. That's not what is being debated through this application. It's about whether this should be designated for zoning as an airport or an industrial site or multifamily residential, et cetera, et cetera. What is the appropriate use of this land? So this is multifamily. He's proposing this to be multifamily, and you know all the other ones around, commercial and commercial hotel. So with that.
Thank you. Counselor Dugas? Counselor Dugas?
To the mayor, a question, if it's state commercial, what would be the height allowable on that property if it was commercial?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm directing that up through the mayor to.
That's a good question.
Go ahead, Rob.
Or one moment.
Yeah, go ahead, Heather. I don't have it.
No, you go ahead and talk and then I will find it.
Thank you. So through you to Councilor Dugas. So while Heather's looking that number up, I'll tell you, it's not currently zoned commercial. That polygon of land shown with that white line is part of the main property, but it's split zone. So this is commercial down this way, but this is R2. Duplex residential, this piece here. It's still part of this land, but it's split zone.
I thought it was commercial. Oops, sorry, my mistake.
The OCP had it as commercial.
Yes.
That's why we had to pass that last.
That's so weird. It's not now.
But the
just got rid of
zoning
it.
is present.
And we got rid of it.
But that was interesting conversation. Go ahead.
Sorry, just to answer the question, it was, if it was to be as per the land use for the official community plan, then it would be commercial and it would be 11 meters.
Okay.
Counselor Dorwood?
I talked to Deputy CAO Blackwell before the meeting and something, I got that same explanation, which was fantastic. Thank you. But another thing that he mentioned that he didn't mention here, I don't think, was that in the current zoning, R2, you could just build without a development permit. So they could build like all the houses in accordance with the zoning, like, but in RM2, they have to do a development permit, and then that's where council can debate those features that are of concern to the existing occupancies, so.
So
I thought that was really a key
Yeah,
factor.
RM2 made the big deal.
Yeah, and so, and I believe all of the people that came and spoke at the public hearing were all in the Columbia Street Townhomes. That's RM1 zoning right now. And the only difference in the parameters of setbacks and height and all that is RM1 has 11-meter height, RM2 has 12-meter height. All the setbacks and all that are all otherwise the same. No, the interior dwellings are different size, like they can be smaller and stuff like that, but the outside, so like the concern about the height of it and all of that, it actually is better because we can address it if it's RM2 versus R2. Am I correct?
Oh, God, you got that on.
Deputy CAO?
That's fantastic. I.
Thank you, both for your job.
Yeah, yeah.
When I introduce your new plan. Just to put a finer point on that, this is about what, this is a function of what the local government act permits. There is a caveat, which I won't go into, but effectively, the local government act does not provide planning powers that apply to development permits for single-family residential. They're caveats, but performing character, unless something else, but basically, that something else doesn't apply here, so we do not have the authority. For multifamily residential, we have explicit authority to establish development permit areas, and we have one for this area, and the rest of what he said is 100% dead.
Thank you.
So.
Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns?
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy CAO. Thank you,
Yeah.
Councilor Dorwood.
And just to summarize, I feel that this does address all of the concerns that were brought up in the public hearings because of the ability to address it in the development. But then I do feel like it does make sense to have multifamily residential because that's what the neighboring property is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
They just didn't take advantage of the 11 meters, that's all.
right, exactly.
They
Yeah.
could,
Yeah.
but they didn't.
All right. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Bylaw number 1166-2023, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1010-2013 for adoption. Moved by Councillor Tidbury, seconded by Councillor Texmo. Comments? All in favor? Carried. We have no pending bylaws. Council reports. Councillor Smith.
Here. Well, July 13th, we had our Bear Smart meeting. We were ramping up to get ready for Columbia Days, and we were supposed to meet our new wildlife coordinator, but I guess that will happen at a later date. July 14th and 16th, that was pretty incredible Columbia Days. Exhausting, but tons of fun, and I think that next year I'll definitely be taking Monday off. July 19th, we had our in-camera. July 28th, I attended the Christmas in July. That was such a nice event over at the Civic Center, some good food. July 30th, we had our Port Hardy East Farmers Market. I think that was the first one in the rain this season, but it went very well. And then July 31st, attended a Pride meeting. They're plugging away.
Any word on when the celebration is going to be?
Yes, it is the weekend of September 22nd and 23rd. It'll be Friday and Saturday, and I'm not sure if we're gonna have a meeting before then, but, yeah, are we?
They should be saying.
Not currently scheduled for another.
Yeah, I don't think so, yeah. We'll have to let
Well,
council know.
let's post it.
I'll keep you guys posted, yeah. So far, no use of Carrot Park or any requests like that. It would just be sort of letting everyone know what's going on.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Councilor Texel.
So first of all, I want to thank everyone for Fillomi Days, all the volunteers and everyone that worked tirelessly for it. Going downtown and seeing it packed full of people I know and people I don't know and kids I know and kids I don't know was amazing. It was awesome. I had a huge amount of family in town that came up for it and they enjoyed themselves thoroughly. I know that it's gotten super hard to find volunteers for Fillomi Days to keep it going. And so that means that the people that are doing it are overworked and overrun. And just to thank everyone that's been involved with that hugely. The fireworks show was awesome. That was great. You might have heard rumors. I tried to capture it with my drone so I could share it with everyone, and my drone decided to fly off out in the ocean and lower itself in there and say goodbye to me.
No.
So it's gone. Yeah, to get my drone
I
back.
got told we shut it down.
So I don't think so. I think it just lost communication because it came back on and was flying around again, then it just lost itself and just decided to fly out by the beacon and just. My mom's got a video of it just lowering into the ocean super slow. So it's too bad for that because I was going to share it with everyone. It'd be super cool to see.
I saw it up there.
Yeah. So I got a little short clip I'll show you guys, but that's it. It's on my phone. It's the last known footage. But other than that, we went and took down the fireworks for John. We're happy to help out in any way we can for that. Just to say thank you for that because the fireworks show is such a great way to close Fillomi Days. Everyone looks forward to it. And I don't think people really realize how much work goes into setting up those fireworks until you walk onto the dock and you see how much is actually set up and how much is involved with taking it down. So again, thank you to you guys for that and the fire department, everyone that's involved with that. Other than that, that's all that's been on with me. That's it.
Thank you. Councilor Dorwood.
No, best Fillomi Days ever, so.
Great.
All the organizers of it, I love it. And my family, same thing. It's a big homecoming. We had our family or our high school reunion too. It's the
Nice.
first one I actually attended. I won't tell you what year. But, I want to say happy anniversary to Councillor Smith.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. And other than that, yeah, it's summer, so it's kind of quiet, but a few of us here attended with staff from DFO about the open net pen transition to don't know what plan. And all of us expressed how challenging it would be for our community and our neighboring First Nations. It would be devastating. And I think we very clearly communicated that again, I think even more clearly than before. So I sincerely hope that they're listening. So, of course, a new minister there, so we'll see what happens. And I also attended an Association of Anchor Island Coastal Communities meeting. We are planning for next year's conference already. And if anyone here has something they think would be of value to contribute as a session or an idea for a session they'd like to see or a keynote speaker they've seen or heard of somewhere, would love any of that input. So that's along and that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilor Roberts.
Yeah, echo people's comments on Fillomi Days. It was great. And whoever arranged for the weather, thank you very much. And the parade was amazing. Anyway, we had lots of friends up. Anyway, it was lots of fun. My only comment about anything though is in the future with the fireworks, if you could make them go a little bit higher.
Okay,
I'll
mark
We
that
could
down.
hear them from our deck. But and it was too dark to drive into town. So anyway, yeah, higher is good. Yeah, and I was there for the DFO meeting too. Yeah. So I'm encouraged. I'm hoping that the new minister will be perhaps more open to listening to coastal communities' concerns. It would be a nice thought. So, but we need, I think, as a council, to be proactive with local governments and First Nations governments locally to get our licks in quickly. with the new minister and to, I know people will be doing that, but I think it's something that needs to be repeated, that we can do that. I was a little sad. I missed the community forest AGM. I was at the dentist and don't like to cancel dentist appointments, but I hear it was good, so looking forward to hear that. There was a regional library executive meeting planning challenging budgeting times for the library board. But that planning's going ahead, which you will hear lots about come the fall and the planned levies that are coming forward. And was also attending the Ferry Advisory Committee are redoing terms of reference for ferry advisory committees. And it's a lot, sort of depends on BC Ferries, and they do control the show there, but it's there are some looking at some of the terms of reference for the ferry advisory committees, and so it's also an opportunity to get our ducks in. And yeah, we'll be speaking more of that as time goes on.
I have a question for Mr. Does the Ferry Advisory Committee members, the Ferry Advisory Committee members get an opportunity to go on the northern routes at all?
They haven't lately, but they have in the past.
I feel like that would obviously give more input if
Yeah,
people could.
you know, I have to say that when they had a meeting in Bella Bella, the ferry advisory, which was great, people flew in. They didn't take the ferry just because it was
Too long.
it would have been a very long, 3 or 4 days to take the ferry in that. But yeah, it's no, it's a good point. And I did hear about a program actually, and I'll just mention it briefly, whereby it used to be they had a summer student traveling on the ferries, working on the ferries with tourism information from the North Island. And I just thought that was a great idea. It seems to have gone by the wayside. I don't know. I just know that it happened. I don't know
Summer
anything.
student John's done it.
Some student John's done.
I did it for 5 years.
Oh, beg pardon. When I heard it described to me,
I like the student idea.
it was, yeah. Anyway, I just think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's sort of worth talking about more. So anyway, that's me.
Thank you. Councillor Dugas.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I would just like to thank everybody again. That's what everybody's already talked about for Filoni Days. It was great event. Thanks for all volunteers. I know Trina worked hard and John worked hard and a number of other people did. I can't name them all, but
You.
And Dennis.
well, just to be involved, it was really good. It was really a lot of fun. And again, thanks, John, and all the guys that helped with the fireworks, because that is a huge highlight in our community. Everybody really looks forward to that. The biggest crowds we get, parade and fireworks. That's the biggest turnout at the park. So that was awesome. Yeah, I did attend that Open Net Pen DFO meeting, and I was glad that some of us were able to attend that and give them our comments with regards to how important it is for our community. Hopefully they will listen. I mean, they had to listen, but whether they take it to what it's worth, I don't know. We'll see. Still working along with North Island Seniors Housing Foundation with regards to working with our contractors at BC Housing with regards to the seniors project that we're hoping to get going over there on Rupert Street. We're gonna be our group will be coming to the district court already asking about an extension of the property, so that's forthcoming. Hopefully you'll get the information before our next meeting. That's the plan. So we're working on that. And the other thing that just came up last Friday, I had a call from actually somebody in Port McGill, and they were quite concerned about a highway closure on Highway 19 that's coming up on August the 21st and up to September the 15th for 24 hours and 7 days, 24/7. And there's going to be a 2.4 kilometer routing on the logging roads. And they were really concerned about how that was going to affect our tourism season up here. So, and I did pass that information on to Councillor Robertson, and he was going to send some information off to our MLA and see what the heck is going on in the north.
days per ton.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of a bad time to be hitting us, considering we've gone all the stuff we're going through with regards to fish farm closures and logging is almost non-existent up here right now with all the different things that are going on. So, yeah, we don't need another economic banger, and that would be a huge hit for our community. Cause it's gonna deter people, definitely, you know, if they know that they're gonna come up and they're gonna have to go to logging road, they're gonna say, we'll go somewhere else. Why come up here? So hopefully something will happen. Well, anyways, that's all I got. Thanks.
Okay, Councilor Tipperary.
Other than filming days, I've been going back and forth to Holbrook on a constant
And how is
basis.
that road?
It's the worst
Thank you.
I've ever seen it. And that includes all the provincial side as well as the logging company side.
Oh, and the one.
Oh, it's awful. The whole road is awful. And I just sent a note down to Paul McNeil, to the head office there, asking, you know, cause there's one section there that I've had to go under a tree for the last week. And you think somebody would have told him that this tree was hanging over the road. And, so anyway, I put it onto the right people, and hopefully tomorrow when I go up, I may not see the tree.
Maybe send another note to the person that might be responsible for the provincial part of it.
Yeah, and, and in respect to the grader operators that are working, they're trying the best. There is absolutely nothing, it's right down to rock bed.
Mhm.
It's not, there's nothing they can work with. So it's not the grader
Yeah.
gentleman's problem. Cause they're trying their best, they're trying to, cause I watched the guy today, and he's trying to bring the earth back onto the road. But it's, if you drive, you'll see that it's all rocks.
Capping left.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
really, really bad. And that's due to the summer that we've had and the dry weather, cause it's just blown away.
Mhm. All the fine's gone.
All the pine, yeah, it's gone. So don't say that it's not the,
No, I wasn't, yeah, no, right.
it's the condition of the road, and it's absolutely awful.
Have to get you a kidney belt.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, it's really bad.
I bet.
When I retrieve my phone, I'll show you the tree. I'm sorry about
Banned.
that bloody hide department. I see that doesn't cut out the sound.
No, I see that.
Hold it, put it in.
So
Okay.
I threw it away.
No, and it's important to turn off cell phones when,
But I did
and
set it
I
off,
know you did too, but, yeah.
and then I was trying to stop the ring,
Thought you were gonna throw it through the window.
so I put it in another spot.
All right, so I'll just, finish up. Councilor Tipperary, you're okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay. So Port Hardy hosted the Community Forest AGM, and, we had full attendance with all mayors and all CAOs, and, I think all directors from, is there anyone missing? I think everybody, one person was missing. But it was a great meeting. They were able to report that we may have 2 new partners coming on fairly soon, that just working on some fine details with legal, and hopefully end of September there will be, or October might be better, an official opening and celebration and things like that. So it was good. I've attended a number of situational updates, the wildfire and the drought. Probably weekly, there've been mayor's calls where and CEOs have been called into these weekly meetings and, driving through the province last week and the week before and how flippin' dry it is everywhere.
Mhm.
And we're so lucky to be able to have a bit of rain with no thunder and lightning.
Mhm.
The wildfire situation and the drought situation, although we're still in, what drought level are we? We're still in drought 5 on Vancouver Island. And even though we've had rain up here, we're still in drought 5. And that's not just reflecting the rainfall, it's reflecting what's going through our streams. And I don't know how many of you go into your gardens. I know someone in our audience goes into their gardens and other places too, but we can get a rainfall and I often go out the next day when it's dry and it's not very dry or not very wet, very far down in the ground. So it's just running right off. But our streams are low and it's going to affect the wild, not just the wildfire, but affect our vegetation and our fauna coming up. And often in drought level 5, the Vancouver Island might get drought level 5 in October. We've been in drought level 5 since June. So really, really serious. So when I think our community is doing really well with respecting our, not everybody, but I think most people are doing pretty well at respecting the water restrictions. And I have approached the regional district about doing a policy for areas covered under the regional district. And hopefully in that discussion, the other communities will come on board, because even though they don't have maybe the same type of water where they're pulling the water from, are the aquifers and the wells are under stress. And if the water table goes down too much, ocean water will be going into the wells. So people need to be more aware and more cautious of what they're doing. So it's been a real learning experience going on those phone calls. Yes,
Sorry, Mary, if I just have a question, drought level 5 is like the highest? that you-
it's the highest. Yeah. And yeah, it's just kind of amazing that even though we've had rain up here, we're still considered in drought level 5.
Just to add to what you were saying there, Mayor, was with regards to, I was just listening to CBC this morning and they said that their lightning strikes yesterday, over 30 more fires in the interior.
Yeah.
Added on to what they already have, 30 more in one day. Fires from lightning strikes.
And we've got 5 of them in this area.
That's crazy.
Does council want to consider a policy against lightning?
Is there a procedure for that?
There is, I'll have that on.
Find that out, do a staff report, report back.
Is there protocol too?
Mayor, committee?
Oh, we'll put Council Robertson on that committee.
Good. I will bring it back and report forthwith.
I will bring some photographs of lightning for you guys.
We can make that about a 3 or 4 hour presentation.
Yes.
I'll bring ACDC.
There you go.
Driving through the interior and going through that smoke, when we left and went east, we could see plumes of smoke, but we weren't engulfed in smoke. But coming back on Friday, it was awful, absolutely awful. And driving by Kamloops, and you could see all these
Everywhere. Wow.
fires. You know, I couldn't see the actual flames, but the smoke, so that you knew it. It's just awful. So we're very fortunate to have the clean air and the cooler temperatures up here, but not good. And just one more thing about that too, with the drought in other areas of BC, the farm animals are suffering because they can't get enough hay. So they're appealing to Alberta and Saskatchewan for hay. And I noticed, which I thought was really cool, that because I've been on these calls, noticed when I was coming back through the Rockies, the big transport trucks carrying hay, and that's the first time I've seen that happen before. So, and the first time I've heard where a minister has given her personal cell number to municipalities and mayors and CEOs, that if they have a problem with their staff, and they have any issues to call her directly. And I thought that was pretty impressive. Attended a Safer Place to Be meeting and things as CAO Nelson Smith said, things are going forward and, hopefully it will be okay. One meeting that now Heather Nelson Smith, our CAO, and I attended was the Assistant Deputy Minister for Connectivity, talking about Port Hardy and how to have better connectivity. And our CAO brought up about connectivity between the town and our water treatment facility and to the dam site. As well, we talked about the highways and how our MLA Babchuk had said about the highways and having cell phone coverage. And then at the same time, she's telling me this, because I wasn't at the council meeting, this TELUS rep was saying, no, it's not possible up here. And there was a distinct silence, and we were told to contact that TELUS person and suggest that they put in an application. And so it was rather interesting. Talked also, I asked her to phone the mayor and Port Alice to discuss their connectivity problems, because they have some major problems over there. Talked about how with the connectivity too, you know how when you're driving between Port McNeill and Port Hardy, there's once in a while you can see you can get SOS now. That means there is the possibility of having better cell phone service there. And I think we need to put some pressure on other people. So that will be happening. Fun thing that I did was I got invited to be a juried art show judge in Port McNeill. There's an amazing number of very talented artists in this community of the Mount Washington area, and it was pretty hard to judge them because there was such a variety of artwork. And then each judge, there was 3 of us, had to pick our favorite, and so I picked my favorite. We didn't know who they were, and I was really pleased that my favorite was someone I knew. So that was fun. The other fun thing that we did is we hosted the Twinning Societies, or Twin City Nevada, and the visitors. There was 15 altogether that came, as well as the mayor from Nevada. And he came over here 30 years ago. I think it was 30 years ago, did he say? He was one of the first visitors when he came. He wasn't the mayor at that time, and he's still been very involved and came over, and it was a great visit. It was really busy. It was really short. It was over Filomi Days, and thank you very much for the amazing Filomi Days and all the volunteers and all the hard work you did. And they really enjoyed it as well. And we were super lucky that the weather was good. Even when we went down for fireworks, there was a little mist, but it was not a big deal. It didn't really get us wet. Yes, sir.
Just in regards to the Twinning, and I know that they did the flyby.
Yeah.
Over Filomi Days, which was pretty awesome. I was talking to Vince Crooks, and he was saying that, because we were talking to him about something else, and he was saying that that he was really happy to be able to do that. And that he said there was a cost like about, for the 3 planes for the fly around stuff like that, it was like over $3,000. It's their company that they donated towards this. And I think it would be appropriate if, I don't know if you've already done it, sent them a letter or whatever, but I think that would be really something nice to come from the district to say, wow, how much we really appreciated that, because that was a really cool deal.
It was very.
Everybody was pretty excited at the park when they saw the 3 planes coming up. That was pretty cool.
Goosebumps.
Oh, yeah, that was really cool.
Got some good photos.
Yeah.
If we want a nice card,
Yeah.
we might know.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Thank you, card. Photo.
Yeah.
yeah.
I know
Playing
that.
Right.
I know that Leslie Dumel has been doing thank you cards up, as well as our CAO. They've done some thank you cards up, and they Vince Cook's organization was on the list.
Oh,
And it was really neat. One of the host families, he was a pilot out there.
Oh.
So he had said he would take out one goose and do rotation.
mhm.
And then when we got out there, or maybe it was Friday night, all of a sudden, one of the other pilots volunteered, I guess, to take
Mhm.
out the goose. So they took 2 goose out with all these pneumatic visitors. But
That's easy.
2 geese, 2 planes, with the Nevada visitors, and they went out and they circled all around. And then they came over the bay, and I'm not sure at what point, but all of a sudden a 3rd goose
Oh,
hooked up with
That
them.
was amazing.
Yeah,
They look pretty awesome up that. when they get
yeah, the
across
pictures
park.
are amazing.
Oh.
yes, a significant percentage of the world fleet.
Of the geese.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Okay, so that's enough for me. So information and announcements. We have the Bear Smart Committee, August 9th, Heritage Society, August 9th. Special in-camera meeting, August 17th. Please be there. We have a tentative August 22nd, committee of the whole for prac and ops. How does that look for everybody?
I won't be here.
What was that?
August 22nd?
I'm okay for that, but
I'm here.
Something right on my schedule. I should be here for that.
While we're looking at that date, could I just ask, when's the fire department meeting that I'm supposed to get invited to?
Monday nights.
Did I miss it?
First Monday.
No, because it was a holiday.
Yeah,
You're
first Monday
okay.
of the month, so it'll be probably next Monday.
Really?
Yeah.
Will somebody contact me or how do I find out?
Brent, well,
Well,
It's a
Brett,
waiver, yeah.
Does Ross know?
I'll get the chief to give you a call.
Okay,
yeah,
just don't
Yeah.
miss it.
Yeah, I'll get him to give you a call.
okay,
Was the rotation, right?
and he knows you're on. and-
Okay.
And that I went last time for you,
Okay.
so.
You went last time for me? While I was away? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're here, you're here, you're here, you're here, I'm here, you 2 aren't here,
Or August 22nd?
yeah,
I mean, I can join electronically.
yeah, so if you can join electronically,
that's
that'd be great. Okay, so we'll, do the August 22nd. And then the few other ones, September 12th, Committee of the Whole. Is that our next meeting, September 12th?
No,
mhm.
or that's not our regular meeting, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's regular council, September 12th.
Yep.
Second Tuesday. Come on.
All right, it is, okay. I
Second
missed it. This is the
Tuesday.
year we
Come
don't.
on,
No,
second-
no, this is, usually we miss September because of,
Of the
You-
UBCM.
That's what we have,
It's the first time.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
We didn't miss one.
Okay,
I had it backwards.
all right, notice of in-camera meeting, August 17th at 5:30. And motion to adjourn, Councilor Dorwood moved. Thank you. Okay, questions pertaining to the agenda will follow after the